Let's go to Daniel, the 3rd chapter. This is going to be kind of lengthy as far as it's scripture, but I just want y'all to really catch on what's going on. The book of Daniel, chapter 3. Let's start this thing from the beginning. I want to start the first verse. We're going to skip around, but we're going to try to get through this chapter 3. It's a lot of, as Bible scholars say, a lot of meat in this. I'm going to read out the New American Standard Bible so y'all can kind of catch what's going on. And I'm going to break this down as we're going through it. Daniel chapter 3, we're starting at the first verse. We're still dealing with the 7 mountains. We're on the mountain of arts. Arts and entertainment. So this is a 2 to 3 day teaching of a mountain, but I'm going to condense it into about 20 to 25 minutes. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold. This is a statue. And a height which was 60 cubits. And its width 6 cubits. So let's bring that up to today's time. King Nebuchadnezzar built a gold statue 90 feet high and 9 feet thick. Built the statue 90 feet high and 9 feet thick. So the statue is 90 feet from the floor to the sky, or the ground to the sky. And then if he was to walk by the statue, it was 9 feet across. A gold statue. He set it up on a plain in the province of Babylon. He then ordered all the important leaders in the province, everybody who was anybody, to dedicate the ceremony of the statue. They all came for the dedication. All the important people took their places before the statue that Nebuchadnezzar erected. And then one of the heralds made this great proclamation. This is the important part I want y'all to catch. And I'm going to change it to the King James so everybody can see this together. Verse 4 says, Then a herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and language. Everybody, no matter what race, creed, color you are, this is what I want you to do. That at what time you hear the sound, or the cornet, the flute, harp, sackbut, songstress, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set before you. Y'all got that? Stop the music. Please, sir. He said that anytime you heard the sound of the music playing, you had to bow down and worship the image. Play the music, sir. So when the music came on, they had to bow down and worship the image. And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, songstring, all kinds of music, all the people, nations, and language fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Okay, so anytime the music was played, and anytime they heard all these instruments played at the same time, the people of the whole nation had to bow down and worship. Today, and I'm going to update this so y'all can get it, anytime a certain type of music is played, it can drive and motivate and move people to do what they don't even want to do. What actually happens is the music gets in the person, and then when the words sit on top of it, the mind will decode the stuff, and then once it repeats and get into their spirit, they start to believe it and start to follow what it says. So the music comes in, and the people bow down to worship. Now, in reading this, realize that this is the whole point that the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had went into the fiery furnace. They went into the furnace because they went and bowed down to the sound. And it said that they wasn't bowing down to the sound also because that meant that they was worshiping that God. Are y'all with me? Mm-hmm. So now if I'm in a state of knowing that whatever I listen to and whatever I put my time in, whatever I believe in, it's going to sink in me, and then I'm going to start following that. It's going to change my whole attitude, my whole living, my whole outlook on life. So whatever I'm listening to is actually changing me. Okay, so now what happens is you have to look at it this way. Imagine millions of people on their face and 3 people standing up. Okay? And then you have 3 people standing up, and this is what they do in music still to this day. What the king did is once he got them captive, he took them and then he changed their name. And he changed their name to represent their culture and their lifestyle in that kingdom. So what happens is, once you decide to go into the music business, first thing they tell you is you have to have a stage name. And you have to have a stage name because when you're on the stage, your name represents what you are, what you do, what you stand for. And you have to have a stage name because it sets the presence of the culture that you're in. So your stage name has to be catchy,
and then your stage name has to represent something. So they couldn't use their Hebrew names. They had to give them a Babylonian name, because now you're in Babylon, you have to represent what we stand for. Simple. When you come into ministry, you give your life to Christ and you join the ministry, your name gets changed and brother or sister gets put in front of your name.
True. Mm-hmm. That's real.
Because now it has to represent who you are and what you stand for. So a name automatically gets put in front of you. In the word, that's called a title. In the word, they put an epitaph on it. Epitaph means it goes after your name. So you never see it's Jesus or you see King Jesus. It's Jesus the Christ. Mm-hmm. And the reason why the name goes after, because it's telling you what's the works. So it's John the Baptist, because John was baptizing people. So it showed his works. So it's John the Baptist. Mary Magdalene was the city that she was from, and it was known for harlotry, so they call her Mary Magdalene. So you can understand that was the city she was from. It was not her last name. So everything was represented by what you are at the end. So it said Simon, the one they call Peter, because it's letting you know later on he was about to shift. So then when the name comes up, it's telling me now that y'all standing for this name. So automatically I'm assuming Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is going to bow because they're following a certain name. So I can tell who you are by who you hang with. So I see your friends and I see your people and I see where you be at. So I assume that's what you do. Is that making sense? Mm-hmm. Am I talking to myself? So now I don't have to know you. You don't have to speak to me. You don't have to never say a word to me. But I look at your friends. I look at where you hang, and I look at your territory, your environment, and what you're into, and I can know all about you. Mm-hmm. So automatically Babylon was motivating and molding and shifting these people and making them who they were supposed to be, because they wanted these people that were 10 times smarter than them. The opening of the book of Daniel, they go on a fast and they just ate vegetables. And then they said at the end, these people were 10 times smarter than us. And we had strong, great soldiers, and we didn't understand that. And our pastor went to a class, and it just was confirmation what the word was saying. Everything that we have or that we eat that's natural automatically has something that's going to help heal us, something healthy. The water itself, you just don't have to put nothing in it. You can just drink the water, and that has healing in it. The vegetables have some type of healing in it. The fruit has some type of healing in it. So then it made sense about the tree of life when he said don't eat of the fruit. Because it was telling you that at the end in Revelation it says that then they started eating back on the tree of life because the tree brought healing. So all this is scripture, and it's making sense now that whatever the word is saying, long as I'm doing what the word is saying, there's something coming out of it. So now that there's been a dream interpreted and he sees this gold image, what Nebuchadnezzar the king wants to do is make an actual statue. I want something to actually represent what I've seen, and I want everybody to know that I'm on top. So if I want everybody to know that I'm on top, I have to show you something at all times. And I have to make it big enough that you can see it from anywhere. So when we're driving on the highway, they have Walmart signs erected 100 to 150 feet in the air. Even though the store is 2 and 3 miles down the road, you can see the big Walmart sign way in the air. And then when you go to the exit that's coming to it, they have more signs to let you know that's where it's at. So imagine 90 feet in the air, there's a statue. Imagine how far off you can see this statue. But the statue didn't matter until the sound was made. That's powerful in itself, because there's always been time where we've been in ministry, and though we're standing here, and then we feel like, well, there is not too many people here. Once the sound comes in, and the glory comes in, and the atmosphere is saturated, you start to lose count of who's here. You start to lose count of yourself, and you start to figure and focus in on that one true and living God. And this is the sound that he was trying to get. This is the same sound as the Old Testament as a schoolmaster of the sound that was in the New Testament when they heard the mighty rushing winds and then tongues came in on the day of Pentecost. So it was a sound that had to be heard that was always dominant. So today there's a sound that's dominant, and the sound is so dominant that you can put it in media and show it on TV and play that sound and everybody can relate. Is that making sense? Okay. If I wanted people to come to Greater Restoration and I came on TV and made a commercial, we might have a few people come. We'll have a few more to come. But then if I turn around, come on, Brian, please. So, he's been in the league about 3 or 4 years, right? And he's done got to the point where he has his signature shoe. You know, he got the sea lies now. So he got a signature basketball shoe. And he's maxed out. He's maxed out his deal. The last max out I read was Anthony Davis. He signed a 5-year contract for $145 million. So he's got his max deal. He's at $100+ million, right? So then the thing is now, if he stands next to me on the same commercial and tells his testimony where he started from, you see the difference now?
Yes.
Because the art is what drives everything. So since the art that he's using is basketball, because that's art, that's entertainment, that's showing someone. If that shows that means that this mountain is going to affect everything, because now they say, wow, he came from there, let's try that. Let's go there. So what they do on TV, what the pastors do, the mega pastors do, they do is slick. They automatically have the camera scan the front row. And when the camera scans the front row, you see football players, you see basketball players.
All right,
you might see Oprah sitting there. You might see Tyler Perry sitting there. And they do that to let you know this is the caliber of people we can bring in.
Come on.
And this is what type of word is here that can bless. And this is the kind of people that's coming for this kind of word. So if they was to see you come, right? And you're standing here and you're promoting it, I really don't have to talk. I could be in the background photobombing you. You can be talking and I could be in the background playing on the background just standing there with a suit on. And you can do all the talking. I never have to preach. I never have to say a prophetic word because they going on. And the reason why is the art shapes and molds everything. So when you're standing here knowing that you have something that can shape and mold everything, that means that you become a threat. And the reason why you become a threat is because now I have power of the tongue, and what I say can change things. So what I'm holding now, I thought only thing I was doing was just getting to shoot a basketball because I have the love for the sport. But now the cameras are flashing, people want to interview, I can't go nowhere because there's paparazzis everywhere, and everything I say, I'm held accountable for. Everything I tweet, I'm held accountable for. Everything I put on Instagram, I'm held accountable for. Everything I post on Facebook, I'm held accountable for. Every move I make, it has to be calculated because now I'm in a high area of this mountain. And since I'm in a high area of this mountain, most miss the point that God is trying to use them for His glory to affect the mountain. So how many people can you draw if you get kids pulling on their mother and bugging their father to buy your sneakers? And and they want to buy your sneakers because they think you the best basketball player, and they're talking about you so much that now the adults want to know who you are. So now the adults start watching you play basketball. Now then they find out there's a little segment, a 30-minute segment or an hour segment talking about your life. So then when they show you coming up, all of a sudden they show Greater Restoration and say, yeah, this is the church I am. And then they show your pastors, and then they show, well, yeah, I ended up doing this and I ended up doing that for the church. And they say, wow, he's even saved. So now your influence starts drawing people more than you thought. And you thought the only thing it was your sports. So when you get placed in a position to affect a nation, you can't take it lightly. Because now, what you say and do adversely affects everybody else. So that means that whatever I'm doing in this mountain, I have to be careful of who I'm attached to. Because whoever I'm attached to, they can make or break me. Question. So when the music played, they didn't bow down. And when they didn't bow down, there was leaders and other people went and pointed them out. Why is this important? Because you have to realize that it's not the ones here that's going to cause the impact. You're trying to affect up here. So if you're trying to affect a higher level of people and you're trying to make an impact in a higher level, you have to be noticed by a higher level of people also. Does that make sense? So the leaders noticed them. And when the leaders noticed them, that's when they went and told Nebuchadnezzar, sit down. So when they called Nebuchadnezzar, he went and told them. Then they said, you know what? I don't care about your sound. I'm not bowing down to your image. And I don't care if you throw me in the fire, because my God is going to bring me out. And if he don't, I still won't serve your God. Stop. What's important about that I want everybody to understand today is, regardless of your situation, regardless of what's happening, I'm speaking prophetically over someone's life, you can't turn down or you can't go against what God has for you.
That's right.
You can't stop and you can't alter what God has planned for you because of what your current situation is.
Amen.
Your current situation is current.
Mm-hmm.
And things about something being current means that it's going to change. And when you know something is going to change, you realize it because stuff is starting to get worse. And then on top of that, you realize that you're starting to get better in the process of things getting worse.
Come on.
If you're not getting better, you're not learning from what you're going through. So I'm sitting through the mouth of God saying that you're going through that.
Amen.
And he said that you was going to go through the fire.
Thank you, God.
And there's no smoke on your clothes.
Thank you, God.
He said you can't even smell that thing's in it.
Come on now.
And on top of that, there was someone else in there with them the whole time.
Yes.
Which further lets me know I'm not in this thing alone. So coming up, the music is the only thing I had. And there was rough situations in my life, like I've told you before, my father being on drugs and my mother doing the best she could. And my father was there the whole time, but it's just the thing of whenever I got to the point where I couldn't take certain situations, I had to go back and sit and listen to some music. And I thank God for Pastor Perryman, because it got to a point where Pastor had to teach me, when you get to this situation, that you can sit and listen to music and it can actually soothe and it can actually get you in tune with what's really going on and what you need to really focus on. And it was like, when I was going through things, I would listen to the wrong music. Y'all ever did that?
Mm-hmm.
Let me talk to the young people. So
Yeah.
y'all ever get mad and be going through something, and you got the nerve to listen to something that's telling you to go kill somebody.
Amen. Go beat them up. That's the truth.
So I'm sitting thinking that, you know, this is the early 90s, y'all. And I'm thinking like, I'm feeling like, you know, I see my mother struggling. You know, we just came to the South. I know we had a place and this and that. We come to the South, we're living with my aunt. Man comes all the way from Brooklyn and comes repo the car, and she's working part-time at Burger King, and I'm thinking like, how are we gonna get out of this? So I got the nerve to start listening to Biggie, and Biggie had a song called Suicidal Thoughts. So I'm listening to the song, and Big is rapping about, you know, he wants to go to hell, and he says, you know, he don't want to go to heaven. He'd rather, you know, he'd rather be in black Timbs and black hoodies. He don't want to hang with the goody goody. And he's saying, you know, when right before the song ends, because it's another guy named Diddy, he's famous now. He's talking to him on the phone back and forth. So right before the song ends, it's like you hear the gun go off and the song ends as it's saying he commits suicide before he gets off the phone. Because like how the song opens, Diddy calls him, and Big is not talking. And he's like, yo, Big, say something. So Big just starts rapping. And he's actually rapping and telling me I want to kill myself. And every time I got mad or got in a situation where I felt real depressed, I would listen to this song. And you subliminally think that just by listening to this and hearing so many rappers say this, that it was okay to go to hell. Mm-hmm. You understand that? Because what the music has actually done, whatever you celebrate, you elevate.
Yeah.
So it celebrated the sin to the point that you elevated it over God. So it celebrated so much to the point that you thought it was okay. So much to the point that I didn't think it was right to be in a monogamous relationship, as in saying to be with one person. Because the music told me it was better to have multiple women. Now on the flip side, the women that's listening to the same music, they have a faster way about themselves. They call it fast back in the day. I'm trying not to use ratchet and bird. You know, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to say it in church. They just nasty. I can use that.
Yeah.
So, in order for them to keep up with what the music is saying, they automatically change according to what the music say because they think this is how they're supposed to be. Okay, so what happens is whatever this stuff pumps in your mind, it increases your growth hormone. So now a girl at 10 and 11 years old looks like she's in her 20s. Mm-hmm. Because whatever you believe, your faith increases and then things start changing. So once I started believing that the word was in me and I can use the word to change my situation, I spoke and stuff started to come to pass. So that's the same thing as a girl sitting in front of the TV and saying, wow, I want to be shaped just like that. I want to look just like that. And they start believing, they sit in the mirror just pushing up on themselves, trying to make themselves look. After a while, it starts coming. Because the faith is what they're believing in. So now the sin is being elevated to the point that when you say something that is of God, it doesn't sound right. I raised my hand to be a perfect example. Came here the first Sunday at church and pastor was preaching, and I was like, that makes no sense. Because I was saying what I've been learning, what I've been hearing before I got here, tells me complete opposite.
Teach.
So 50 taught me that if I can't get it, I can get it the fast way, the ski mask way. That means that I can rob somebody and get it. So there was other rappers that was teaching me the way to get things, and then what they done that was smart, and whoever was listening understood it. Biometrically, they decoded the music. And when they coded the music, only the ears of the people that was in the culture can decode it. Y'all understand that?
Come on.
It's all on this shirt right now. All these are different slangs from hip hop on my shirt. It goes into the music, and only if you're understanding the culture, you could understand what's going on. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the people knew what their names stood for, but they didn't. The people knew what they were supposed to do, but they didn't. Because it was a culture that was going on. So when you speak in tongues and this person over here interprets it, it's the culture, you understand it, but someone could come in and think you just babbling.
Yeah.
So now the culture tells me that there's a way I have to live. And the church don't follow that culture because their mind hasn't changed yet.
Teach.
So since their mind hasn't changed yet, I'm staying with what I've been taught all these years before I got saved, and I'm letting that stop me from entering into the kingdom. So I can be saved and say I'm saved, but I can live any kind of way I want to.
Wow.
Oh,
Come on. Come on.
yeah, just say it.
You can just say it. Because now, though hip-hop raised me, and it's still the culture in me, I don't speak like it, I don't think like it, and I don't move like it. So I understand the plan of God for my life, and I understand my purpose. And if I understand my purpose and my plan, then I understand my passion. So I understand what I'm pursuing. So now if I understand what I'm pursuing, now I can actually help promote y'all to get to that same place. Because if I don't know what I'm doing, I can't help y'all.
Amen.
So the eyes of the beholder sees someone and automatically paints a picture and stereotypes them. And when they stereotype them, until you speak and talk and they get to know you, they automatically leave that stereotype on. So remember this. There was a nation of Hebrews that was pulled in, but it was only 3 that didn't fall. You get that? So there was a bunch of people that was following Christ, but there was only 3 that stood for what he stood for. See, that's the part that was missed. People just think that they just took them 3 captured. They took a whole nation captured, but it was only 3 out of that nation that followed Christ. And then later came Daniel. So that makes 4 out of a whole nation that followed. Out of that nation, those 3 shifted everything. And then after them 3 shifted everything, and their time was off the scene, God automatically knew that Daniel had to come next in line. Because there had to be a remnant to continue to change the culture. Because after that first feat, everybody said, okay, we're going to follow that guy. Then there was another king that came into play and didn't know about them 3. So now Daniel was on the scene. He has to do the same, but he has to face a greater challenge. So you would say, I don't get it. I feel getting burnt 7 times hotter would be worse than being ate by lions. This is the difference. Play the music. They had to bow down to a sound. Y'all see that? Now stop. Daniel couldn't pray. So I'm standing up for a sound, and I'm standing for the sound of God, not the sound of Nebuchadnezzar's statue. Stop. But I can still pray, which means I still got communication with God. The thing that was different with Daniel was they wanted him to stop completely communicating or talking to God. And whenever you can stop communicating with God and stop getting a relationship, got you. Because if you stop communicating with God and stop getting in His face and stop getting in His presence, then that means you don't know your next move. You don't know your next step because you don't know the will for your life through God. If you don't know your next step, that means you're out in the open. And if you're out in the open, then someone else can come in and guide you. So what the music actually done was change their way of thinking in this mountain. And when they didn't bow to that music, they shift the government. When they shifted the government, it made them over that providence. So they was able to take over government and be over that providence. The people talked about it to the point that the people started worshiping their God. That's media. Back then, media was word of mouth. If they had control of the government, they had control of the money. So when they had control of the money, the people already knew that they was 10 times smarter. They started teaching the Babylonian kingdom. In return, the family started shifting to how the Hebrew was. And it all started from them following God. You see that? So as the church opened and started through them, they were the church. And they moved into this mountain and conquered it by not bowing down to the sound. The people pushed them into this mountain. The government gave them this mountain. Then they were ascended to this mountain because of their wisdom, which in turn shifted everyone's family. Go to verse 28, Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3, verse 28. If I can catch you enough tune and give you a good enough hook, hook is another word of saying chorus, and get you to say it enough time, I got you. That's how our art do. There's people that paint great pictures just as great or better than world-renowned artists. But since that artist has been spoke about so much and they have such big media, you want a picture from them. So you'd rather have a Rembrandt than something that I've painted because you don't know who I am. Seen a nice set of clothes, and put it on and stand next to somebody and you look 10 times better than them and they have a name brand clothes. And it's because how you wear it makes the clothes look better than how they wear it. It has nothing to do with the name brand because in the end of the day it's all hot. Someone just had a better assembly line and they stitched it a little bit better than the other person. Because some cheap stuff you do realize is not stitched as good and it's going to unravel or shrink when you wash it. So someone may use a better quality thread and someone may use more time with stitching it and not even saying more time as hand stitching. They had a better computer to stitch it and they had a bigger factory with newer technology and you have to pay for it. In the store in Paris, a white t-shirt, V-neck, is $1,000. And the reason why it's $1,000 is because the tag says Givenchy. And since the tag says Givenchy, that's a name brand in Paris, and it costs way more. And you can buy that same Hanes t-shirt for $3.99. But it's because of the name. Same color. So verse 28 says, Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trust in him, and have changed the king's word, and yield their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. This is what the king is decreeing now. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language will speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut into pieces, and their house shall be a dunghill. You actually have a king say now, if you speak against the God that you're serving, your living God, that I'm going to cut your people into pieces and I'm going to burn your house down. That's just how much power they got in that short time. Because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. So verse 30 says, Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.
Everyone stand. In the midst of being and hearing a sound, you have to be able to hear the sound of God.